Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sheikh Fayaz Ahmed, and I work with the School of Management, Zhejiang University, China, as an innovation researcher with Professor Xiaobo Wu. I'm absolutely thrilled and honored to moderate today's fireside chat with two important guests, Nobel laureate Professor Mohammad Yunus and Professor Xiaobo Wu from Zhejiang University's School of Management. Well, before introducing my panel today, let me quickly set the scene for today's fireside chat. We all know that COVID-19 outbreak in late December 2019 sparked an unprecedented global crisis. The pandemic has wreaked havoc on nearly all business, economic, education, health, and social sectors. More than a year after the virus's emergence, people continue to face adverse economic and health-related effects. Many scholars believe that COVID-19 triggered the direst global economic consequences since the South Sea bubble burst in 1720. With more than half of the world's population under lockdown, COVID-19 has decimated millions of jobs, devoured fragile enterprises, killed thousands, and infected millions around the world. Nearly all governments are continuing to grapple with the ramifications of the pandemic. A series of reports on COVID-19 suggests that pandemic may have led to global economic losses between $5.8 to $8.8 trillion by December 2022 alone. Amid this crisis, a policy cry for rethinking innovation and growth models is gaining momentum. Alternatives for sustainable, equitable, and inclusive growth and innovation models are being explored. Capitalism is seen as a failure, if not a dead model. The viability of the market and profit-driven innovations and growth model had come under fire. Among the many critics of the existing growth and innovation models is Professor Yunus himself. He actually, he's being very positive and optimistic. He sees a glimmer of hope from COVID-19, and he believes that pandemic offers a window of opportunity to explore alternative innovation and growth models, and has warned that returning to the older models could be equal to committing suicide. In our discussion today, which will last for 40 minutes, we will be pondering potential alternatives to prevailing models. We will ask Professor Yunus and Professor Xiaobo Wu about the exploring working alternatives to capitalism in a post-COVID world, the roles of governments, incentives, international collaboration, and bottom-up innovations will dominate our discussion. However, before I ask Professor Saad Parvez, who is head IIEDC, National Institute of Technology, Kashmir, to give a formal welcome address, let me introduce our panel very briefly. Professor Yunus, he does not need an introduction, but I'll try to briefly do him justice. As the inventor of social business and microcredit and the founder of Grameen Bank, Professor Yunus has established more than 50 companies in and outside Bangladesh. His microcredit has helped unleash the entrepreneurial capabilities of more than 350 million people around the world. And his ongoing efforts to create economic and social development from below have affected millions of the lives around the world. In 2006, Professor Yunus and Grameen Bank were jointly awarded with Nobel Peace Prize. He is the recipient of 61 honorary degrees from universities in 24 nations and has received 136 awards across 33 countries, including state honors from 10. He is one of the only 7 individuals in the world to have received the Nobel Peace Prize and the top 3 United States awards. His brilliant work has landed him on the cover of Time magazine, Newsweek, and Forbes. Professor Yunus's constant innovation even led him to Fortune magazine to name him one of the greatest entrepreneurs of our time in March 2012. Like many innovation and development schools around the world, I have also read some of Professor Yunus's work. Together with Professor Saradindu Bahaduri, my thesis supervisor at CSSBJ in New Delhi, we explored alternative grassroots innovations from India and edited a book with African faculty on the same theme for Rutledge, Dillon Francis in 2015. However, it was not until 2019 that I first invited Professor Yunus to Kashmir. He generously accepted our invitation for a 5-day visit. He also suggested setting up some Yunus centers in Kashmir. Sadly, for various technical, political, and bureaucratic reasons, the government of J&K had to postpone the visit. But we are confident that after April, we will be able to host Professor Yunus and our other innovation colleagues from elsewhere in India and the world in Kashmir for an extended conversation about alternative innovation models. On behalf of National Institute of Technology, Kashmir and Zhejiang University, China, I'd like to extend my sincere gratitude to Professor Yunus for agreeing to join this fireside chat on rethinking innovation and growth models in post-COVID world, despite his highly busy schedule. I'm also grateful to Professor Yunus's team at Yunus Center Dhaka, particularly Mr. Shabir, Ms. Lamia Morshad, and Mr. Tanvirul Islam for brilliantly coordinating with us. Thank you, Professor, for agreeing to join us for a fight chat. I'd also like to say Thanks to School of Management, Zhejiang University, China, for offering the support needed to organize this important event. I'm similarly grateful to Professor Xiaobo Wu for joining this fireside chat as a chief discussant. Professor Wu is a senior professor of innovation strategic management at Zhejiang University, School of Management, China. His outstanding achievements in innovation and entrepreneurship research earned him the title of prestigious Changjiang Scholar Professor by Chinese Ministry of Education. Professor Wu serves as a Dean of the Faculty of School of Social Sciences and Director of National Institute of Innovation Management and Academy of Global Zhejiang Entrepreneurs at Zhejiang University. He is also the Director of Joint Research Center for Global Manufacturing and Innovation Management. It is jointly set up by Zhejiang University and Cambridge University. Professor Wu was appointed as Senior Vice President of the International Council for Small Business in 2012 and is Vice President of the Center for East European Management Development Association. Well, Professor Wu has studied from Zhejiang University at the Asian Institute of Technology, Thailand, Judge Institute of Management, Cambridge University, and he was a Fulbright Scholar at MIT in US. His recent book on Huawei is published by Cambridge University Press. Besides teaching and researching technological innovation at Zhejiang University, Professor Wu is an innovation advisor and a board member of leading companies, including Geely, the largest car manufacturing company of China, Siemens China, Hikvision, and many other innovative Chinese firms. I am grateful to Professor Yunus and Professor Xiaobo Wu for joining us from China and Dhaka. Before I open the floor, I would like to ask Professor Saad Parvez Saab, who is head NIT Srinagar, IIED NIT Srinagar, to provide our guest as a formal welcome address. Professor Saad Parvez.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fayaz. Assalamu alaikum and a very good afternoon to all. Well, I'm highly privileged and honored to extend a very warm welcome to Professor Mohammed Yunus, Nobel Laureate for the year 2006, an economist, one of the greatest inventors of this age, and importantly, a person who helped alleviate millions out of the poverty around the world using his bottom-up innovation tools. We are really elated and thankful to him for taking time out of his highly busy schedule to join today's fireside chat on rethinking innovation and growth models in a post-COVID world, jointly organized by the National Institute of Technology, Srinagar, and the School of Management, Zhejiang University, China. I also find immense pleasure in welcoming Professor Wu, the chief discussant from Zhejiang University, China, and thank his department for collaborating with us and especially helping us in the launching of the new course on technology innovations and entrepreneurship dynamics, which is presently jointly conducted by the Innovation, Incubation and Entrepreneurship Development Center, NIT Srinagar, and the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences. Well, this is the first of its kind course launched in NIT settings in India, and the basic aim is to create an entrepreneurial mindset and self-reliance approach among the youths. Today we are joined by students, faculty, scholars, and development practitioners from around 50 countries, and I welcome all the participants of the event with open arms. I am sure that the next 45 minutes would be a highly productive and a value-added session. I highly believe that collaborations are very vital in today's world, and I hope through collaborations, we would be able to create a beautiful and an inclusive world with love, affection, and care for each other, irrespective of regional, cultural, and ethnic diversities. Knowledge, innovations, technology, and humanity connects us all. And together, let's aim at healing the world and making it a better place for you and for me and for the entire human race. Well, the IIED Center, which I am heading at National Institute of Technology, Kashmir, is mandated to create an ecosystem and an enabling mechanism for local innovations and critical thinking. The objective is to help overcome the crisis of poverty, unemployment, underemployment, education, health, and other such burning societal issues through innovations. We are on a path where individuals' ingenuity could be processed to develop new ways of problem solving, to overcome innumerable challenges, and to make the journey of innovations and entrepreneurship smooth and productive, and to further create a vibrant, dynamic, and a successful model in this region. I look forward to your assistance, handholding, and mentoring. I'm sure that after the pandemic crises are over and good times are back, we would look forward to host Professor Yunus and Professor Wu in this beautiful valley of Kashmir. I once again thank you for being a part of this important fireside chat. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much, everyone. I now request Dr. Fiaz to please moderate the rest of this section. Thank you all.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Professor Saad Pervez. Thank you, Professor Yunus, Professor Wu, and all participants. Well, we have collected a select number of questions. We will divide them between Professor Yunus and Professor Wu. So, of course, I'll begin with Professor Yunus because I don't know why he sees a glimmer of hope from the existing COVID crisis. Well, Professor, we'll start the discussion with the title of today's fireside chat, Rethinking Innovation and Growth Models. My question is you believe that COVID-19, it offers a window of opportunity to explore alternative innovation and growth models. Why do you think that COVID-19 has upended the existing development and innovation narratives? And why do you believe that returning back to the old models will be equal to committing suicide? It's in your terminology.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Faiz. First of all, thank you for inviting me to this wonderful Kashmir Valley. I wanted to do it physically. I was very much looking forward to it. Somehow I visit every other part of India, but the one I always wanted to do, I never made it. So I'm very happy that at least I'm doing it virtually. To see your faces and get a chance to talk to you. Thank you, Professor Saad, for giving me this opportunity. About the pandemic and all the things that happened because of the pandemic, one aspect that I try to focus on and draw attention, that we knew that whatever economic system we are following, it was creating a massive problem and it's getting more and more acute. So the system that we trusted and we followed without any question, leading us to extinction. And I point out that the basic thing that we see, we have no chance for survival. One is the global warming, and repeatedly is being pointed out by every single person who have been studying the global warming, that we don't have much time left. Some give us 2 decades, some 3 decades maybe. By 2050, it will be way beyond our control. It will be final, it's finished. Unless, of course, we make tremendous amount of effort to pull us back from that direction and go separately, different direction. But we are not doing that, that's the problem. So I see this is a disaster path. That's the path that I was talking about, the suicidal path. We are on a suicidal path because of the global warming and also because of the wealth concentration. We created a machine which is sucking up all the wealth and bringing it to the top. And the people don't have any wealth left. One easiest statement can kind of give a presentation of what I'm saying. 99% of the wealth, almost all the wealth, 99% of the wealth belongs to 1% of the population. That means 99% of the people have only 1% of the wealth. So if you look at the income scale, all the people are absolutely at the lower end of the scale. That's the 99% of the people who are kind of lumped into the system. And they don't have any wealth, a fraction of that wealth, 1%. All the wealth belongs to people who are way above, and very small number of people. They have the 99% of the wealth. So what I try to draw attention that the wealth and people are separated away. Wealth is in one end, people are on the other end. And that distance between the wealth and people are expanding. It's becoming longer and longer distance. I said, this is an explosive path. It will just explode by itself. We can't help it because it's not possible to people to survive in a situation where all the wealth can be squeezed out from people and go some other direction. I said, this is also a suicidal path. Third, I try to draw attention is the artificial intelligence. It's coming in a big way. Still looks very small and very cozy, looks like a cozy little pet. We have fun, but it will become big very soon. It will start roaring, and that will be the end of it. What the artificial intelligence is telling us, this machine is better than people. So if machine is better than people, the logic of capitalist system will replace human being by machines. So human being will have no place. I said, human being very soon will become the garbage on this planet. It will have no use. So put all this together, I said, human being has become most endangered species on this world. Its time has come. This is one part. Before the pandemic, this is my narrative that I would try to draw attention to. The narrative, and then the pandemic came. During the pandemic, I said all the bad things that we have in the system. The pandemic has revealed all the weaknesses in a sharper way. It showed how selfish we are. When the pandemic came, we were busy with our own people. We are not paying any attention. We didn't have any global system to deal with it. We are all becoming a tribal system. We're all trying to take care of ourselves. And then came the vaccine part. I was skipping some other part in between. And vaccine part made it worse. We have been telling that it's a vaccine apartheid, that you don't belong to us. You go anywhere, we protect ourselves, we don't protect anybody else. So it became vaccine apartheid, vaccine nationalism, vaccine tribalism. These are the words you hear. And companies want to make big money. I said, that's the end of it. Money became more important than life. So that system cannot survive. People cannot deal with it. So I said, this is what we're doing. The pandemic, the point that I make, pandemic had stopped that machine, that economic machine. I said, we're in a big train rushing to our death. We couldn't stop it. And the last station is about to arrive, which will be finishing line. Pandemic stopped the train. I said, this is an opportunity for us. Let us get off the train. As long as it's rushing, we couldn't get off. Now the train has stopped, let's get out. And we make sure, we make a decision, no going back. We don't want to go back to that path. We don't go back to the train. We build a new train so that we go a new direction. So I said, this is a great opportunity. That's the point I was making all the time. And I still say, this is an opportunity we should not miss, because in many, many generations after us, this opportunity will never arise. And everybody will blame us.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, I still remember that when we had witnessed 2018 financial crisis, and then the argument Professor Yunus made was that, the existing systems, then probably capitalism, it requires restructuring. If not, we have to look for complete radically new alternative system. But with pandemic, Professor Yunus is very vocal, and he's suggesting that we probably need to look exactly an alternative system to the working models right now. So we want to know, Professor, like, what do you see, why do you see would be the most viable, inclusive, equitable economic and innovation model, which will be a right alternative to the existing system?
I'll put it this way. Before we can answer this question, another question we have to answer first. First of all, where do we want to go? Because that will decide everything else. Unless we know our destination, we cannot build roads. Before we build roads, we have to know the destination. Where do we want to go? So that's number one. Even if you cannot see that's a practical way to achieve that, let's imagine that world. because this is a point that I wanted to highlight, that if we imagine, only then it can happen. If you do not imagine, it will never happen. So this is the time for imagining that world. And I try to give my imagination. I said, this would be obviously a world of 3 zeros. Zero wealth concentration. As I was explaining, it will be a ticking time bomb otherwise. So we have to make it zero wealth concentration world, meaning that wealth and people should live together forever and ever. They should not leave each other. And we have to build a system. If we know where we want to go, we'll figure out how to get there. That's not difficult.
Oh, okay.
That's one. And that will be a world of zero net carbon emission. And it will be a world of zero unemployment. The world of 3 0. So once we do that, then we piece by piece. I can explain what are the pieces, but since you have other questions, I will stop here.
Yes. Thank you, Professor. So I'll move to Professor Wu. Professor Wu, Professor Yunus is of the opinion that COVID is offering us a window of opportunity to look for alternative systems. Do you really agree with the proposition of Professor Yunus that we need to look for alternative models, or that capitalism has actually failed us? Do you think that capitalism has really failed and there's a need to look for alternative models? And if there is need to look for alternative sustainable and inclusive models, what do you think should be that alternative model which the whole world is looking for?
Okay. At first, I should say thanks to Professor Yunus. Your insights very much appreciated. So I should say that in the social development, all the people want to lead a happy life, not just those rich, but even more people at the bottom of the pyramid. So that's the big question, is that how could the people leading the better life, in what kind of ways, what kind of the social systems? So in the long evolution of the human society, we could see the capitalism play a very important role in the early stages of the Industrial Revolution. After that, we could see that more and more people see the gap between the rich and the poor. So that's the big question, the arguing for the long time. So which way to go? So as the opposite of the capitalism, and some other people propose that we see the socialism. Yeah, but we see that especially during the COVID-19 pandemic time, we could see how many the poor people can accept the adequate treatment. So that's the big questions here. So we see that as we look at the how, we see the models, which way to go. So we see the pure capitalism is criticized in many ways. Yeah, but we see that especially during the social crisis, we see that the market failure is very obviously there. So how those people at the bottom of a pyramid have the capability to gain the sufficient resources to sustain their life? So that's the questions. So we see that in China, we see that we are not just very simply to see the capitalism is the very bad way. We see that we see the socialist marketing system. So we see we are not fully deny the mechanism, the effectiveness of the market, but we should see the socialists do play very important role to balancing the different classes and conflicts. So we say that the socialism marketing system, it works in China. So we say that when the market failure there, the government will play some role with the tangible hands to manipulate, to balancing, and also to help those people incapable to get the sufficient resources. So that's the way of not just purely manipulated by the market mechanism, but we should say we should care about the social welfare. So we see that in recent days, years, we see not just in China, in a lot of countries, we see the social entrepreneurship. Now it's rising very quickly. Yeah. So, but anyway, when we talk about the COVID-19, so we see in such a pandemic time, people cannot deal with the crisis. So we should have the tangible hands to help those people, the incapable, to deal with the crisis. So that's the situation now in China. We see that.
Yeah. Professor Wu, I completely agree with you that the socialist marketing, the success of that system in China, they have reaped the dividends of it. But I was reviewing the book of Professor Yunus, The World of Three Zeros. He has talked about socialism, communism, and capitalism. And probably Professor is the opinion that many people have somehow rejected all the three systems. If not rejected the three systems, but he's saying that people have somehow conveyed their displeasure with capitalism because we see the inequality around the world, how people fail to create an inclusive model to accommodate or to meet the pressing challenges. So to Professor Yunus, you have mentioned that one way forward will be social business. Do you really think that social business driven alternative would create exactly the same dynamism and that rigor and the incentives which capitalism or probably socialism has created?
Yeah. First of all, I want to mention that social business is just one piece of the entire system that I'm describing. So we can describe this little piece, but first of all, why do we want to abandon the old system? What's the need for abandoning? Can we not repair it? Can we not reform it so that we can get over it, whatever the problem it has? Of course we can reform it. Of course we can improve it. That's what we have been doing all these years. We keep on improving it, keep on adding things. But still, we couldn't fix it yet. Why is it now so in a desperate situation? That's what I was trying to explain in the beginning. Desperation comes because we don't have time. Because we'll be over. The time is over. We are just about in the finishing line. As I said, we are the most endangered species. If we had time, plenty of time, unlimited time, we could have fiddled around, try to prove it, and so on. I draw the attention by saying that we are right now in a situation where we are in a burning house. Our house is burning. That's our global warming. And inside the house, we are having a big party without recognizing that the house itself is burning. And without recognizing that through our partying, we're adding fuel to that fire. So what we are doing inside is also making the fire worse. In order to save ourselves, we have to do something drastic. And so that drastic thing is not about repairing things, is abandoning it and see if quickly you can make a different one. So that different one, we have the same basic issues that involved what made this whole system of capitalism fall apart. You mentioned about inequality, income inequality or wealth inequality. And I don't see any inequality at all. When I was describing wealth situation, it was not a question of inequality. Simply wealth is not with us. It's not inequality. If you have it, I have it, this inequality. We don't have it. All the wealth is somewhere else. I said it is disengagement between people and the wealth. And that's the problem. If we have all the wealth with us, some had a little bit more, some had a little bit less, that will be inequality. So we are describing it in the wrong way to give some consolation to us. We are in a safe house. It's not burning house. It's a burning house. That we have to admit. I said, where does it start? It started in the basic principle, very concept of, beginning of the concept of economics. The assumed human beings is someone who is driven by self-interest. And that is the beginning of economics. I said, that very first step is wrong. Human beings are a money-making robot. When you say self-interest driven, meaning maximization of profit. So the whole world is built on the maximization of profit principle. There's nothing else. I said, that's where we go wrong. Human beings are driven by self-interest and also by collective interest. We never added this into the case. The moment we add this into the human being, we have a different world. And that is the beginning. Then you can follow through. One is my interest, maximization of profit. Another is my collective interest. I want to see things happen collectively. I want to stop global warming. This is collective interest. Personal interest will never stop global warming. But we left it to the personal interest, saying businesses somehow will stop. Businesses don't stop global warming. They fuel the global warming. They make it worse every day. So we have to find another part of ourselves is a collective interest driven. That's where a business, not to make money, but to solve problems. That's what we call social business. This is based on collective interest issue. So this is the beginning. Then you go to other aspect. The other aspect is a capitalist system saying all human beings have to have jobs. Entrepreneurs are only few people who will be creating jobs. I said, that's a shame. Human beings are not born to become job seekers. They are not here to become robots, to be dictated by somebody else. We are free people. The moment you accept that freedom of human being, you recognize human beings as an entrepreneur. You redesign the entire economics. If in your school, in your class, in your course, you tell your student that you can be a job seeker or you can be an entrepreneur. You see how different these kids will be. Because then how do I do it? Where do I do it? Because the present world is not prepared for it. The whole system is built for you to work for somebody. And I said that created the wealth concentration. Because those few people who are the entrepreneurs, we work for them. Billions of us work for them. We are the mercenaries. We go and fight for them, make the profit and hand it over to them. And they give a tiny little thing called salary and wage and so on. We are happy. So they get all the wealth. And we are the one who are responsible for it. If we didn't work for them, they won't be taking away the wealth. If you, I, and everybody became entrepreneur, we'll be collecting our own wealth. The wealth and people will be together. So this is, again, wrong principle. All I'm saying, give people options. This is not something you're imposed. Somebody's imposing. It's not a government imposing or some political parties imposing on you. It's nothing like that. You decide what you want. This is your choice. And if you want to be job seeker, go ahead. But you have an option. You can be entrepreneur too. But as a system, we have to build the options so that people can catch it. So that we build a banking system for that. So the present banking system is designed wrong way, only to finance those few entrepreneurs who will be taking the wealth away. And they are the facilitator of that process. So these are the things I'm just pointing it out. So you, as a whole, you decide one by one, step by step. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Professor Yunus. I'll directly quickly move to Professor Shababu. As we have seen, social business has impacted more than 350 million people around the world. It has helped lift people out of poverty, and it has helped break the shackles of many million around the world, the poverty shackles. So do you have such a social business model in China? And what, probably, the success stories or some insights which you want to share with us, like if there is something called social business model, which is lifting people out of poverty in China also?
Yes, actually, there are a lot of cases in China. You see, the social business not just benefit the 300 million people, but even more people in China. Yeah. So also we see that in China, especially we see that the social entrepreneurship recently rising very quickly. So not just for the profit, they set up the priority of the social welfare. to gain the social welfare. So typical case is that recently in China, we see the digital economy rising very quickly, but the people use the digital technology to help those poor people, especially in remote area. So currently we see that there are a lot of the platform. We see the platform emerging to the market. Those platform, the digital platform, help the people in the rural area set up their necessary facilities to have more people access to the digital society. One typical case is the Taobao village. You see in Alibaba, they started to establish the Taobao village many years ago. So in those poor area, remote areas, help the village to have Taobao station, install the necessary facilities to help the people in the village getting to the Taobao station to access to outside the world. And now we see that a lot of people, they can show how they produce their products, what's their the rural products could be shown access to by the people in the main cities to buy those things. So with this, they establish those Taobao village with the investment, not for the profit. Because recently, in short time, they have no profit from the investor to the Taobao village. But the Taobao village do help the farmers, the village people, gain their income by this platform. So in this way, recently we can say more young people, they have the better educations, have more concern about the whole society. We say the collectiveness. So they establish the platform online to help those people in remote areas to do their small businesses. Yeah, so that's a lot of cases here. So usually people say the digital gap, or we say the digital divide between the people in the city and in the rural area. But actually we see that with the social business, they are meeting the gap. They're meeting the gap between the main cities and the small village, remote areas.
Yep.
So that's a lot of cases here.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Wu. I have also, exploring Taobao villages and how digital innovations are being blended with the government policies, and how higher education and other actors within the innovation framework are helping lift people out of poverty. Well, I'll move to Professor Yunus. Professor, you believe that local innovations, social innovations, and bottom-up innovations are really important to unleash the entrepreneurial capabilities of the people at the grassroots level. What do you think should be the role of universities and the government to mainstream these local innovations, and what are the possible ways to upscale these local innovations in your framework?
To answer your question, I would say that university to reinvent itself. What's its role? What is there for? One way university can explain their role as being the institution which hands over all the accumulated knowledge of the world to the new generation. That's their role. All the accumulated knowledge of the past to be handed over to the new generation. So the new generation can start running from the very start. They have the continuity of the information. Another role is not only hand over, also point out the weaknesses in the system. It's not, you have not fixed it, but you see these are the weaknesses felt. So this will be a challenge to the new generation, what they would be doing. But generally, not many people are in the mood to fix anything, because overriding all those tasks of the university is somehow believed to have the task of preparing all these young people to make them job ready. As soon as you finish your degree, you have to have a job. So you are producing for the market. So your piece of paper will tell the employer that he's ready for your job. That's information. So people, university get busy with that responsibility. How to prepare the guy, the young person, so that as soon as he's through the convocation, he can run after the job creation, job hunting. I said, that's the wrong part of the system. I said, the university is not for creating job-ready young people. University should reinvent itself, saying that we are in the task of making life-ready young people, not job-ready young people. There's a big difference between the two. So that has to, you have to disengage that. Yeah, these young people should be ready, whether they get a job or not, that's not my concern. My concern is he understands who he is or she is and discover his worth and her worth. First, to understand who I am. That's a part of the university responsibility, who I am. That's one subject no university teaches you, who I am. What is the purpose of my life on this planet? No university teaches, because they're so busy to make you job ready. So I don't know who I am. I'm told to find a job, and they always tell the best company is the international company. If you don't get the international company, get the national company. If you don't get the national company, get the top company in the city, all kinds of things. So there's a gradation of my future, how we start. I said, that gives you my wrong path. I still don't know who I am. So, and I accept as a robotic job. I carry on the thing. So I surrender myself. I said, the most important part of university is to help me discover myself. What is my part? What am I? What is inside of me? And I'm saying that all human beings are born with unlimited creative capacity, endless creative capacity. That's what we are, very powerful as a human being. But we were never told that. We will say you take a job. Job doesn't let you discover yourself. Job is the end of creativity. You talk about innovation, and that's why I'm pointing it out. Innovations and all this comes when I know myself, when I'm free. Innovation doesn't come under the direction. Of course it will come, because that's part of my job. That's another kind of thing. I'm not using myself. I'm only satisfying my boss, people who are sitting on top of me. I'm not satisfying myself. So my important part of university is to discover myself and find out what will I be in this big world. What is my role in it? I need to know what kind of world I want. That's a very important point. If I know what kind of world I want, then I work for it. Today, I don't know. All I know that if I get a job, I get a promotion, I got a good position, I finally get into the big city, and my children go to good school, and I have a retirement benefit. My life is over. That's not life. So we are in the wrong direction. So this is what I would draw at the responsibility of the university.
Yep. Thank you very much. I hope we will get this wonderful and beautiful interpretation of university. We'll take it seriously. And I'll move to Professor Shababu. Professor, you have proposed one alternative theoretical concept of secondary innovations, and you applied to study many inventive Chinese firms. Do you believe that secondary innovation, the framework you have proposed, would offer some alternative to the existing problematic innovation models in a post-COVID world?
Yeah. First of all, I totally agree with Professor Yunus about the meaning of the university educations. How we educating our young people, what's the real meaning of people's life. Yeah. So, but anyway, you see that in the society, people earn their living mostly based on their capabilities. Why the capabilities is so important? Because the economy is in a competition way. So how to meet the people's needs in an effective way? That's the key for it. So why the poor people poor and the rich getting richer? The most important thing is that the capabilities, I think. So we say that for the secondary innovation, why the secondary innovation meaningful? We say that secondary innovation, that's always benchmarking the frontier. So not just to lower their capability to meeting the lower needs. So they need to enhancing, to build their capabilities, to make the capability compatible in the market. So that's important. So we say that's the way of towards the upgrading their capability, upgrading or downgrading. So we say that some people adapting the technology to meet the lower end to help the poor people in an effective way, but not enough. We should say you should build up their capabilities in innovating something capable, competitive in the market. So with this, we should upgrading our technologies and build our capabilities. So that's the important case, I think. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Now, Professor, I know your time is very limited, so we'll pick up only two questions, and one is very important question which deals with the vaccine. You started a campaign a few months back, and millions have joined your campaign for free vaccine, and you strongly believe that patents should not be awarded to COVID vaccine. And to bridge the gap between vaccine haves and what you call vaccine have-nots, you intend to keep it as a public good, devoid of patents. Well, we don't know whether this approach will demotivate the firms in the future in investing in their huge amount of research on similar life-threatening diseases. If we take out patents as an incentive, what do you think would replace patents as an alternative incentive system for the firms who are investing in medical research?
Yeah, first of all, yes, the vaccine kind of unveiled all the weakness that we have, the selfishness as it could go, our total total devotion to maximize profit. That's where vaccine is taking us to. And I want to congratulate India and also South Africa. Today's news, both India and South Africa will be tabling a resolution at the WTO meeting, which will be held in a couple of days, to make vaccine as a global common good. This is the campaign we were making all over the world for the last 8 months, that to make vaccine as a global common good or global public good, meaning no vaccine should be patented by any particular pharmaceutical company. It will not have any commercial ownership. Vaccine should not have any commercial ownership. It should be free of ownership. It should be given, all the patents should be kept with the WHO, and WHO can decide who should get it, where should get it, so that quality and other things are maintained. Not because of the money, to make the quality and the health guarantee that it's safe for health, etc., etc. So this is it. So we're saying this is the campaign we are making, and making sure that it's a common good. The question you're asking, then why should the pharmaceutical companies produce it if you're not giving them the ownership of it? 2 points. One, many of these companies, the big companies that you keep hearing the names in the vaccine world, it was not the company's money they put in. Bulk of it is public money. Government gave them the money, free money, donations to this company, invent the vaccine, to spend behind the research. So this is one part. It's not all their money. Second part, in every statement that we have made over the years, to make it common, not over the months, to make it common good, we're saying we are not against pharmaceutical company to get reimbursed whatever they spent. We're not saying steal them from them. We're not wanting to steal them. We appreciate what they have done. We want to reimburse every penny that you spend. On top of it, we want to give you fair profit. Take it, but give away your right on the thing. They don't want to do that. They want to keep it because they want super profit today and continue to make profit over years. That's the reason. So we said we want to compensate you in every way. We have a neutral body will be deciding which will be a fair return for everything they have done. On top of, after we have paid all the money that you needed, we give you a national award, a global award, that you have such a wonderful thing you have done to the world. We celebrate you. We give you a prize. And we stand, whole world will stand and applaud you on a particular second, on a particular moment, to applaud you what you have done, as our gratefulness to you that you have done it. But we don't want to give you the ownership of it, so that you can exploit people. And I said, as I was explaining, it's like people drowning in pandemic, and some companies have the boats. Now with those who can take the people, drowning people into the boat, they're saying, I will give this space in my boat to the highest bidder. So I said, that's not possible. Life cannot be transformed into a commodity. This is a life versus death. Here, everybody has to have equal chance. And if you cannot just keep it to yourself. So that's why vaccine apartheid word was invented. That is a vaccine apartheid. You make it for yourself and you deny everybody else. So coming to your point, we are not saying that they should not get it. We said they should be given all the expenses covered, is a guarantee. On top of it, we'll give them a global recognition for them, for their company, what a service they have made to the whole world. And this is it. So they should not be able to complain that we have been deprived of our rightful thing, that we spend money. We'll encourage you, next time you want to do the research, we'll be the first one to come with money. Please do the research for the next one. That's not what the problem was. Problem is they don't want to give up their patent right. So I'm very happy that hearing the news, listening to the news today, that India and South Africa will be the two countries who are sponsoring this proposal to make this as a global common good or global public good, meaning that it should belong to the WHO. Yeah.
Well, I completely agree with you, Professor. But if I look at your book, The World of Three Zeros, citing the case of SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, you have appreciated the world powers and United Nations, that how the international collaboration has worked out very properly. You believe that the world powers can collaborate to solve the pressing human problems. However, as seen in the COVID world, the global cooperation actually fizzled out. The pandemic response is starkly lacking, primarily due to the ineffective global collaboration. Do you think in a post-COVID new world order, we would be able to have a meaningful international collaboration?
So I'll ask you a counter question. When will we learn if we don't learn from these examples one after another? We will learn when we're all dead, which will be too late to learn. So this is a good chance, good opportunity to learn. That's what I'm saying. COVID has given us a wonderful opportunity to discover ourselves, that how damaging we are to ourselves and how protective we could be for ourselves, so that we can make a new world for us. And we have the ability to do that. And I try to remind particularly young people, and I'll do it now too. I said, nothing is impossible for human beings, nothing. So we have to have faith in that. Nothing is impossible for human beings, provided, that's the important part, provided we make a decision to do it. If you don't make a decision, nothing will happen. So we have to decide what we want and then act on it, and it will happen. There is no escape from that. The human being has the capacity to make things happen. And that capacity we have to use. And that's what the university is all for, to make all the students, all the young people believe as a human being, each one is a powerhouse. Each one is capable, each individual, not collectively, all our alumni are not like that. Each one that I see in front of me in my class, each one of them can change the whole world, simply if he or she wants to do it.
Okay, so one last quick question to both of you. Professor Shabavu, what are the key innovation and growth lessons which world can learn from China? Because there are many reports that China was very quick to stop the spread of COVID virus, and the systems which you have built over the period of time. What innovation lessons are there for the world from China? And to Professor Yunus, sir, what would be your message to all the students, young entrepreneurs, and energetic people who are watching you and listening around the world? Professor Wu.
Yes, actually, I agree with Professor Yunus that young people, especially, we should share the same ideology to say that's the common destiny for the human being, for us to share. Yeah, but anyway, to our regret, to see that the world is organized by different interest group. Different interest group have the different capabilities, different competences. So that's the reality in the society. So we should see that the innovation, especially the inclusive innovation, it's very, very important for the people to have the capable to share the same good life with their contributions toward the better society. So we see that we should rethinking our logic for the innovations. Originally, we see with the capitalism thinking, we see that just make some people, some individuals, some specific interest group have the competitiveness over others. But we should see that we have to see not just for some individuals, for some specific interest groups. We see the whole human being share the same value, same destiny. So we say that the innovation, the thinking, innovation should not be just dominated by some leading companies or the superpowers. We see that should be the common things for all the people. So adjusting our policy making, the thinking, the starting point are very different. So that's my words.
Thank you, Professor Wu, for this beautiful wish. And Professor Yunus, what would be your last message to the young people listening to you around the world?
Thank you. I'll make it very simple for the young people. First, to know that the most powerful people in the whole world right now, and not only that, they are the most powerful young generation in the entire human history. It's not just for us, it's all entire human history. Present young generation is the most powerful generation. Not because they are smarter than any other generation, just because they have tremendous power of technology in their hand. No other generation ever had. So with that technology, with their power of what they are as a human being, they can transform the world in absolutely quickest possible way if they want to do that. So I'm just encouraging them to understand how much power they have. Believe in their power. If they believe in their power, next question they should be asking, what am I going to use this power for? I have the power, but I must know what is the use for this power. This is what my job is. This is my role is. So this is the most important thing. One suggestion I'll go and I'll give and I'll stop. I said, your first thing you do, now that you have the power, imagine the world. You don't have to do it. Just imagine the world they will love to see. Just imagination. Make as wild as possible imagination. Because imagination is more powerful than technology. You wouldn't believe it, but it is true. Imagination. But just imagine. Keep on imagining that. If you imagine, it will happen. If you don't imagine, it will never happen. So imagination is the power. So go ahead and imagine, and don't put any constraint from any side, neither from your teachers, neither from your parents, not for your government, not for religion, nobody. Feel absolutely free. What you are as a human being, you do the world that you want. This is the world I would see. And create it in your imagination and believe in it. If you believe in it and you start acting on it, it will happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Yunus, for this lovely discussion. Thank you, Professor Wu, Professor Yunus, and all the participants who joined us from different parts of the world. It was a wonderful 45-minute discussion. We are very sure and very optimistic that we're hosting Professor Wu, Professor Yunus in Kashmir, I'm sure, after April. The proposal is very much there. And I'm sure Professor Yunus suggested us long back that he's going to set up many centers in Kashmir. We are still with that idea because I think, Kashmir is a fragile place, a vulnerable place. We need beautiful people like Professor Yunus, Professor Wu to come and guide us and mentor us and to create beautiful opportunities for people around the world. Due to lack of time, we have to end the meeting here. But before I close the meeting here, I want to express my gratitude to Zhejiang University, China, Youth Center, Dhaka, National Institute of Technology, Srinagar, STC, Srinagar, and Rahim Greens, Srinagar, for working in tandem and making this meeting a success. Thank you very much, and see you again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Bye-bye.
Special thanks to Professor Yunus.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks
Professor.
to our audience.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank
you,
you.
Professor.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.